Hello everyone, welcome to yet another lore tour. This is the Slappee. Me and Subtlenose say hello. This time we're doing Charr's Embrace, yes indeed. Before we begin, as we can see, we are here in Lorna's Pass. Already done Lorna's Pass, but we are heading into Dredgehaunt Cliffs. If we have a look at the email here we received, it says, Zodja in Charr's Embrace. Hail mighty hero, I've heard from Keith again. She is disappointed that she has been unable to reconcile Logan and Ritlock, but has reunited with Erste Galkin. The two are heading into Charr's Embrace, which used to be the Dwarven foundries of Charr's Furnace. Those caverns are now occupied by the Dredge, who were once the slaves of the dwarves. Reports have said that Zodja is already there, pursuing her own agenda. I don't know what she's after, only that she's going in with spells blazing. Keith would appreciate whatever aid you can give them. As always, your herald. There we go, so that's the context very quickly. If this is your first time joining us for a lore tour of these story dungeons, what we're going to do basically is run through the dungeon, speak to the different NPCs as often as we can, in order to get a sense of the story and the lore of the dungeon as much as possible. Now, the reason I'm doing these videos is because basically when I first played through them on my own, I didn't really have much context to them, so I didn't really get what was going on. I didn't know the characters or anything like that, and I think it can be pretty daunting if you're new to the game or if you are an experienced player but haven't really had time to delve into the lore too much. This might be a good video for you to then actually get to know the lore of these dungeons in order to sort of appreciate them more, because especially in today's sort of dungeon culture as well, it's pretty difficult to get a group which is actually dedicated to learning the story, because most people have already played through the same dungeon like so many times. So that's what we're gonna do. I hope you'll enjoy. So beforehand, I've mentioned before in my previous lore tours that if you haven't read the book Destiny's Edge, or if you haven't seen my summary video of the book Destiny's Edge, then I encourage you to do so before watching the video. However, with this particular dungeon, as you'll see later on, they do a pretty good job of summarizing the story within the dungeon in a long cutscene. So if you haven't seen my video of Edge of Destiny, don't worry, it'll all be sort of kind of explained here anyway. So before we begin, as you can see, this dungeon is set in Dredgehaunt Cliffs in the Shiverpeak Mountains. This area used to be in the kingdom of Deldrimor, the old Dwarven kingdom. The dwarves have gone through the rite of the Great Dwarf many hundred years ago now, turned into stone and went underground in order to fight off the destroyers of Prime Orders. So they're not around anymore, and in their stead, Dredge have taken over. So Charr's Furnace, as it was called earlier, was the capital, so to speak, of the Stone Summit dwarves, in which they had enslaved the Dredge to do their bidding. Now the Stone Summit were a xenophobic douchebag group of dwarves that were a separate thing from the Deldrimor dwarves, which were nice dwarves. Now that the Dredge have taken it over, they have renamed the place Charr's Embrace instead. And the Dredge, as you'll see in this video as well, are really cool creatures. They have a very cool culture, and we'll get more into that as we go along. And yes, the story so far. So in Cordicus Manor we met up with Zodja, and we discovered that Snaff's inventions, or Snaff's details for a particular golem, had been stolen by a human scientist called Uzulan. Now in the end of Cordicus Manor we learned that Zodja was very keen to track down where Uzulan had gotten these blueprints for the golem. Turns out that her tracking has led her to Charr's Embrace. So yeah, that's basically where we are in the story so far. But before we head in, let's speak to this very creepy looking Dredge outside here, who is called Karamolioff. Jesus, you'll get so many puns here for the Dredge names. Anyway, yes, you look healthy, strong, heroic, good teeth. Are you friends of the Norn and Sylvari? They just went in ahead of you. Air and Keith, they said their names were. Well, what is this place? Long ago this was a dwarven city and the Dredge were slaves. Now we are the masters and call this place Charr's Embrace. Okay, let me ask you another question. Air and Keith are here. Why? They were hunting another one, an Asura with a bad temper. Zodja here? That sounds troubling. Let me ask something else. What's going on here? Charr's Embrace was once an industrious Dredge land, but now others have infiltrated the Militariat. Others! But I should say no more of them. Others, eh? Let me ask something else. The Militariat. What needs to be done? It's a good question. Gather a group of 5 total adventurers and descend into Charr's Embrace. You'll find the women inside. Thank you. Cool. Thank you for the information. And look at this. Jesus Christ, that's scary. What's that horror movie called? With the triangular head thing. Oh, look at my companions. Aren't they cool? Anyway. Okay, now that we've gathered the party, let's head on in to the Charr's Embrace. Alright, here we are. Hello there, Air.
We should be off. Zoja may be in trouble.
Let us wait for the others. It serves no purpose for us to go into these dredge caves without support.
Fair enough.
Do you know why she came here?
I've never been able to understand the Asura. Knowing Zoja, it has something to do with Snaff.
Yes, Zoja's a bit obsessed with Snaff, isn't she? I'm glad you joined us here. As I told Air, Zoja's gone before us into the depths of Sorrow's embrace. Why is Zoja here? I do not know, but I assume it has something to do with her rabid protection of Snaff's creations. Snaff? Snaff was Zoja's master and mentor. He passed on many years ago. Zoja is always hunting down those who misuse his inventions. Yeah, she's sort of protecting his legacy. Why is Air here? I knew that Zoja was coming here and told Air. She is worried about the little Asura. I'm hoping that the two may reconcile as a result. I hope you're right. Let me ask you something else. What is Sorrow's embrace? Once this was a great dwarven mine, Sorrow's furnace. The dwarves enslaved the dredge and built great engines like the Iron Forgeman. Now the dredge rule these caves. The Iron Forgeman was a huge construct built by the dredge, but for the dwarves. Alright, what about you, Air? How are you doing? Kates insists we wait for everyone before setting out for Zoja. Is everyone assembled? We're all here, let's head out. Good, Zoja's somewhere down here. We should find her.
We should go, Cave. Zoja may be in trouble.
In a moment. Our friends should know what they're getting into. Sorrow's embrace was once a great forge. The dwarves that lived here kept dredge as slaves. When the dwarves went into the depths, the dredge made these diggings their own.
And now Zoja has stormed in here. We don't know why, but we need to find her. It may already be too late.
Alright, there we go. Yeah, it's a very grim place, isn't it? If we speak to Air again, are we doing the right thing? I've tried to mend fences before, but it just made Ritlock angry. I doubt Zoja wants to even talk to us. Why is that? Old sins, which never die, I'm afraid. Interesting, tell me something else. Why is Zoja here? If I remember correctly, Kudu was one of her mentor's other apprentices. Zoja doesn't like anyone using Snaff's work. She does seem determined to stop Kudu. Right, so we haven't heard much of Kudu before, have we? Anyway, Keith, we should relocate, yes. Zoja as quickly as possible, yes indeed.
Patience! This is a precision inquest instrument, not some brute force piece of dredge work.
Wait, what's that? We have interlopers in our lands!
I will warn your masters. You get them.
Yes, indeed. Look at this. We have an inquest here behind the dredge. Ah, interesting stuff. Okay. So the inquest is obviously one of the 4 different Azuran colleges. Fairly recently founded one, if I'm not mistaken. Well, you will get to know the inquest a bit more during this dungeon, but as you probably gather, they're not very friendly folk. All right, we actually found a 5th person as well. This is nice. Yes. So already.
Why would Inquest be working with dredge?
I don't know. Zoja does.
Yeah, why would Inquest work with dredge? But yes, they're basically very sinister Asura, very manipulative Asura, who knows no boundaries when it comes to getting what they want. Here we have another troop of dredge and Asura. Something which looks like maybe they're practicing against something, a training dummy of some sort. Smash our way through without too much of a problem. Woo! And we level up as well, nice.
This is what I respect about you, dredge. You are diligent. Our rifle is light, adjustable, and versatile.
Right, so as you can see here, this is pretty interesting. So the Asura are giving dredge weapons and teaching them how to use them. And the Inquis were talking about, you're very diligent, aren't you? So this whole thing of the dredge being enslaved by some other race is going on here again. This time it's the Asura who are using them for their own gain. Here my friends decide to revive Garm instead of me. That's completely fine. Garm, who, by the way, appears to be a very German wolf in this mission. You'll see that later on as well. Yeah, so the specially designed rifle for the dredge to use is the Asuran Inquest talking about. And I think this is very interesting politics in you don't see this in many other fantasy MMOs or games in general, that, you know, one faction is selling weapons and sort of training another. It's pretty not something you commonly see in a fantasy or high fantasy setting. a plot, I think, which would, like, you would assume to be in maybe perhaps a bit more realistic thriller or something like that. Quickly about the dredge as well. Look at this machinery, by the way. It's immense. So cool. Looks like the sort of huge cogs from the Titanic. Anyway, the dredge are pretty interesting because they are basically blind. They are mole people, after all. So they have developed all of their technology around sound, as we'll see a bit later on when we see their weapons, when they're using their own stuff rather than the Asuran sort of high technology rifles. Here we go, Inspector Snick.
These rocks aren't going to mine themselves.
While a true observation, just telling them to get to work would probably be more.
A golem could do this work in half the time,
Golems
and it
without
wouldn't
working.
complain.
Don't waste your time talking to them.
Cool. Discussing slave labor there, either using dredge or golems. Pretty dark stuff, right? It appears that the golems in this dungeon is merely used as defensive guard golems rather than worker golems, because obviously there are plenty of dredge to do the work. Yes. I'm not the best Guild Wars 2 player ever, am I? But that's fine. I've got friendly mates. It's all good. Inspector Snick. We've never heard of this guy before. I don't think we'll ever learn about this guy. It's just the first boss of the dungeon, a slave master Asura, who appears to have much more powerful pistols than I do. And down he goes.
Do you have wisdom to share?
And see, this is what I meant. The garb says woof, not woof, but weef with a German Y. Yes, and Keith and Air have both the same dialogue. If we pull the chain, this happens.
The dredge. They're fleeing in terror.
Why do I think that Zoja is responsible?
She could be in trouble. We need to find her.
Yes, indeed. Alright, so Zoja's probably down there. She is even though she is small, she is a formidable opponent. And the dredge are obviously scared.
Will we escape her evil wrath? The Inquest
On
are crazy
recon.
if they think I'm fighting her.
Right. Haha. See, I like the dredge. They have their own agenda. Like, they don't care what people think of them, even though they're cowards. Alright, hello there, Zoja.
He's here, isn't he? He's running things for the Inquest.
We're not afraid of you.
Your fear is irrelevant. I know Kudu is here, and I'm here to stop him.
We'll need more than your brains. My advanced assault golem will destroy you.
Alright, cool. Golem specialist Noko is here, jumps into her golem. Holy shit, boss fight. So the Asura are very big on their creations. The whole thing, if you play through the personal story as an Asura, is that you choose an invention that you have created, and that sort of leads you on to which story missions you end up doing. So it's a very big thing, and it's very... an Asura's invention is full of pride for them. So it means a lot with who came up with what at what time and so on. They hold competitions as to who can design the best golems and stuff like that. If you read the books as well, there are so many different Asura trying to create these like strange, weird inventions in order to get the council's attention and stuff like that. So that would explain why Zoja is very keen to defend the legacy of her former master, right? Snaff, who in the books is described as a very, very charismatic and kind person, extremely intelligent, but also kind-hearted and just a very, very likable and good character. After his very tragic death, for his inventions to be stolen and used by others is understandably, I suppose, a very horrible thing for Zoja to live with. That's why she has decided that after she left Destiny's Edge, that was her sort of life's calling, to uphold his legacy. Down the Golemancer goes. There we go.
Keith, what are you doing here? And why did you bring that Norn with you?
Keith told me you came down here. I was worried about you.
Worried that the little apprentice couldn't handle herself?
That's not what I meant.
Or maybe you were just hoping to see another Asura die. Is that it?
I just came here to help.
Your help gets people killed. I don't need it, and I don't need you.
Fine. If you don't need me, I'll leave you to your petty vengeances.
Zojah, don't be foolish.
No, she's right. You don't need me. No one really needs me, do they? Come, Garm.
Let her go, Kaith. She knows I'm right. She's lost her nerve. What good is she?
I thought you were smarter than this, Zojah.
I am, and we've got more important things to worry about. We need to find the inquest and, more importantly, find their leader.
So, I mean, without context, Zojah just seems like a complete douchebag, doesn't she? There we go. Air runs off, by the way.
Quick, destroy the mechanism.
Yes! And then let's get out of here.
Alright, and there we hear the dredge sabotaging the mechanism in the background. No. Alright, so now that door is completely shut. Sorry, let's Zojah say that for us, shall we?
They've sabotaged the doors. I can fix it, but we need cogs. I saw another door over beyond the crushers. We can use cogs from there.
I saw those crushers when we were coming in. They look fairly treacherous.
The dredge don't worry about occupational safety. Just be careful around them.
Fair enough. Zojah, how you doing? If you're coming along, you're going to have to keep up, mentally and physically. Why are we down here? My master's discoveries are being sold to humans and Kryta. Kudu and the Inquest are behind it. See? So that's the connection to Corticus's manor. It's pretty cool. Kudu, a fraud, a swindler with a snake's heart, the most twisted mind in the Inquest. He stole my master's discoveries. Sounds bad. Can I ask you something else? Why are you mad at Air? Yeah, don't talk to me about that, Norn. If you want to know, ask Kaith. Alright, fine. Yes, but if we ask Kaith, we have nothing more to discuss. Okay, so, yeah, I mean, Zojah just seems like a douchebag, right? If you haven't read the book, or if you don't know the story of what happened to her and Snaff and Air, then this just comes straight out of left field and just makes her seem so, like, unfair and stupid. And the plot repeats itself, right? Where one of the members of Destiny's Edge, in a furious fit, runs away from the dungeon in the middle of it. That seems to be a very reoccurring thing here. Alright, so there we kill off some mining suits, which spawn some dredge. And this is a fairly tricky bit. You have to run through here, try not to get killed, never mind the champion, grab a cog, don't die as I just did there, grab a cog, jump down, and then run back to the mechanism in order to fix it.
There we go. Mechanism fixed. Gates open.
Let us go then.
Yes, indeed. Okay, so we get into the main hall now, I would say, of Sorrow's Embrace. Dredge Square.
The tree. It is full of dredge.
Of course it's full
Looks
of
like some
dredge.
sort of major speech.
You think we can go around? Or fight our way through?
Check out the mortar cannons on the ledges. We should take care of them before they take care of us. The inquest base should be on the far side of all this. Let's clear a path through those dredge and find it.
We,
Yes.
the Dredge people, have succeeded where
Let's listen
so
to this
many have
speech.
failed. We have thrown off the shackles of our masters and rose to dominate their former lands. They have fled before our rising power into the depths, and leaving to us their ruin. And it is with this in mind that I, Subtlenose, say to you, the great unwashed masses of the dredge,
The great unwashed masses of the dredge. Whoa! Alright, so that speech is pretty cool, isn't it? Full of, like, Soviet propaganda. if you haven't noticed already, the Dredge Society is based on the Russian Society or the Soviet Society of the Cold War. So we have, for instance, the founder of the Moletariat, which is a pun on proletariat, was called Mo Lenin. Which is Lenin, obviously, and it was actually a dredge back in Guild Wars 1, and you can speak to him and sort of help him in his dredge revolution. So the Moletariat has lived on since Guild Wars 1, and today it is wrought with peril. And as you could hear in the speech, the dredge are very keen to surface to the surface of the world and apparently conquer it with the aid of the Asoran friends, or allies as they call them. Or comrades, they should have called them. All of it very questionable, obviously. Not to be trusted, this Shukov, who is the leader of the Moletariat as of now. And if you're interested to learn more about the Moletariat, then I suggest that you play through the explorable dungeons of Sorrow's Embrace as well, after you finish the story mode, because they delve deeper into the sort of revolutionary aspects of dredge culture and stuff like that. But I just love this. This is amazing. This is another very unique thing for ArenaNet, I feel, to have this very, very political background to one of their not one of their major races, but one of the lesser races of the world, and dedicate a whole dungeon to them as well, which something tells me that someone in ArenaNet is very keen on history and very interested in the dredge. Right, so what you usually do when you play through this dungeon, and why most people, I would assume, miss this great speech, is that you just Molenin's tomb. Oh, I didn't even realize that when I played through Molenin's tomb. So apparently Molenin, the founder of the Moletariat, is buried here. That's pretty cool. Ah, man, I wonder if there was like a plaque or something. I'm gonna have to go back now and replay the story to check if there's anything I can read up on there. Anyway, what you usually would do if you play through this story dungeon is that you would just run on through on the left hand side and then jump down and like skip all of these ads. And never mind the cannons and everything. So I thought I'd show you what would you say, like the more straightforward way of doing this, which I think is how most people did it back in the day when people were first learning this dungeon. Now it's so commonplace to just run through because it's so much quicker, and you only do it for the experience and the loot anyway. But I think it's a shame because this battle is really, really cool. You have to run around on these ledges and pick off all of these different cannons and things. Because if you don't and you just run down to the center without killing off the mortars first, then they will all fire at you at once, and you'll most probably be in a very, very brown place. And I love that, the sort of unwashed masses of the dredge. That's such a cool written speech. And they will rise up to the surface, and it's the great new beginning of the dredge culture and society. And all of this is just nodding back to the history of the Soviet Union, right? So in Guild Wars 1, you could help Mo Lenin found the Moletariat and go through with his revolution for the dredge people, which seemed like a good idea in the beginning. Like it was just he wanted to liberate his people from the slavery of the dwarves, sorry, which is fair enough, right? But then you can see, like a couple of 100 years later, the story sort of repeats itself, where they are basically slaves to the Inquest, right? And they're also, even without the Inquest, their government has turned corrupt. And you would imagine also that the Inquest are using this Sukov as a puppet leader, basically, to get what they want, not necessarily for the very good of the dredge people at all. He's up there, by the way, on the platform, Shukov. You can't speak to him, and those two golems over there are friendly as well, so there's nothing to do up there. But I like that you can see him standing there from where he held his speech. Okay, so now we've dealt with all the cannons. Now let's head on down to the dredge square itself, shall we? And since we're only 4 people, we do it very, very carefully, one little group at a time, which Zodja actually appears to be very good at, like pulling one of them at a time. She actually helps out quite a lot here. We just run in, woohoo! Cool, and there we are. So we've killed our way through, and now you can see the open door at the end of the hall here, guarded by 2 Elite Mark I golems. I assume the Inquest don't trust Dredge to be there as protectors here, so we have some golems protecting the entrance to the Inquest base within this complex.
We may be outfought, but we will never be beaten. We will return with greater numbers. We fall
Yes,
back
indeed.
for now, but the Dredge people will thrive against all enemies.
It's pretty cool, right?
Nothing's exploded, right?
Yes, and Zodja has nothing new to say. Yes. So we don't kill Shukov or anything like that. He will return with greater numbers. And I must say, I just love the design of this dungeon. It is so cool. It's very cyberpunk style.
This gate is just locked, not broken. I can get through this in no time.
Kate, Zodja was cruel to Air. Why does she hate her so?
Zodja hates Air, Ritlock and Logan hate each other, and all because long ago we made a horrible mistake.
But anyway, here we go. This is a great cutscene.
Once we fought together as one. Myself, Ritlock, Logan, Air and her wolf, Snaff and his apprentice. We called ourselves Destiny's Edge. We were the best the world had seen. We fought dragon minions from the Sea of Sorrows to the Crystal Desert. We encountered Glint. She was a legendary creature that served Kralkatorrik, the Crystal Dragon, until she betrayed her master. Kralkatorrik awoke and flew south to slay its traitorous lieutenant, leaving devastation in its wake. We stood beside Glint, ready to face an elder dragon. But Logan was suddenly called away. We were weakened, but Air thought we could still stand and fight. Air was incorrect. We were defeated. Kralkatorrik killed Glint. We lost Snaff as well.
Interesting, I think that you could see that Ritlock was wielding a shield in that cutscene.
And they all blame each other.
And Air blames herself. She lost more than a friend that day. I've tried to bring them back together, without success. I know I am missing something, but what?
Perhaps they need to come to terms with themselves before they can come to terms with each other.
How wise Subtlenose. Anyway, I don't really get why ArenaNet didn't show that cutscene like way earlier.
This door is going to take longer than I thought. Watch out for hostiles.
You get the door. We'll keep you safe.
Cool. Yes, we will.
The world
yes, I'm just checking up on the two different characters here. Check if we can get some new dialogue, but alas. Anyway, so that's the story of Destiny's Edge in a very, very shortened version, obviously. And now we have to defend Zodja while she hacks the gate in order to get us through. Which, another thing I get really, really annoyed with when I play through the story dungeon here is that most groups I play with tend to stand like way at the sort of front of this corridor where the dredge spawn, just around that corner. But that sort of kills all of the immersion, right? It's so much cooler if you actually stand back here with Zodja and defend her this way, because for one, you don't see the dredge spawning, which is obviously a good thing, but also you get a greater sense of urgency rather than you killing them like straight away. You can see them approaching from afar. That's so much cooler, I think. But yeah, I don't know why they didn't show off that cutscene like before Ascalon Catacombs, basically, because it's only in the 4th story dungeon that you really get to know these characters, and it's even a very, very short glimpse into what happened before as well, because this explains the relationship between Logan and Ritlock as well, like way back in the earlier dungeons. It's just a curious decision, I think. But yeah, it is a really, really good cutscene, so well done there. I like that you can see the dredge in the mining suit. It's pretty cool. And I like this as well. One of our players is an engineer laying down all of these turrets. Fits the setting pretty well, right? And with the double pistols here as well. This is cool. This looks really, really nice. This is like a really cinematic battle when you do it like this. And as you can see as well, Oscillator and Resonator, all of these different dredge minions are sound-based. And the excavators with their spiky heads, which I like just the thought of them like burrowing through the ground head first with their sort of triangular heads. Okay, yes, but after a while, the unlock progress bar is full. After a while, Zodja apparently manages to break through. Yes, get inside quick, yes please. A huge cog getting rolled away there. Alright, great stuff. Let's wait for everyone to catch up. And in we go. Inquest base KD4 discovered.
Kudu! I knew you were behind all of this!
Obviously. Who else could bend the dredge to my will? Not you, of course. You were never that smart.
You're using Snaff's discoveries for evil.
Zoja, please. I was smarter than Snaff when you were still playing with blocks. I think he'd be proud to see what I've done with his theories about dragon energy.
Snaff would never approve of such things. I'm here to stop you.
Oh, I see I've hit a nerve. Fancy that. Still protective of our old master, eh? You should see what I'm building down here. Pity that my golems will destroy you first and you'll die in ignorance.
Yeah. Oh, I love this. The two apprentices. Oh, this is like Star Wars, isn't it? The two apprentices fighting over the legacy of their master. This is so cool. Gate Kino Deca 4. No idea what that means. Anyway, this is Kudu. This is not the leader of the Inquest necessarily. He is a very, very high ranking Inquest though. And I think you rank up in the Inquest through like a series of trials or something like that, like tests and stuff you have to go through in order to rank up. I'm not actually sure which rank Kudu is, but yes. Alright, so we get him down to 75% and he summons his first golem, prototype E4 golem. And as you've probably noticed, Kudu is wearing the exact same outfit as Zoja is, just coloured red instead of Zoja's blue, which is cool. I wonder if they wear the same clothes because we're both the apprentices of Snaff. Maybe Snaff designed some sort of apprentice coat. I don't know. Right, so after the first one goes down, Kudu comes down from his little computer screen up there, and you can fight him again. Kudu is a very large Asura, as you can see there before. Almost as large as a small human. But he himself is a pretty easy target. This second golem, though, is so difficult. Prototype F4 golem. This is a fire-spitting golem, and you go down plenty of times during this fight if you don't know what you're doing. And I'm terribly sorry, guys, but the video recording from this point onward was corrupted, so I had to do it again on Subtlenose. That's why he has leveled up quite a bit since you saw him last time. This time we are 69 actually, and quite a bit into 69 as well. So right, so we're back here with the next group, and this time we go through the prototype F4 golem a bit quicker. As you can see, by the way, 2 of us already downed, but I do think we managed this time. Yes, there we go, and Kudu's back. So yeah, this fight actually, out of the story dungeons so far, is I think the most difficult one. Especially if you're just 4 people and you are not all level 80s. It can actually be pretty challenging. That is for a group that doesn't really know what's going on, that is. Which, to be honest, I didn't. As I said, I'm not a very good Guild Wars 2 player. I'm a very enthusiastic one, but I'm not very good at the game. It's the third and the last golem, prototype T4 golem. Not as scary as the second one at all. Basically spits about some poison and that's it. And once you get that done, it's the last phase and Kudu is back for the last 25% of his health. Sadly, you can't actually go through that Asura gate. The golems come through from there, and I would be very curious to see where the Inquest headquarters is, that from where these golems come. But no luck, I'm afraid. Alright, and here we go, cutscene time.
You always were crafty, Zoja. But craftiness is not true genius.
Come down and fight, you coward!
Let me think about it. No, I don't think so. But if you survive long enough to follow me, I'd love to show you my latest creation.
Right, and after that, some Elite Mark II golems spawn. Not difficult at all. I don't really know why they spawn now, and why they're not part of the fight. But here they are anyway. Some extra defense mechanisms, I suppose. And Kudu just teleported away from them. Very impressed with these Asura who can just teleport all over the place. I suppose maybe they can use these computers to teleport around the Inquest facility. Christ, listen to me, I'm such a nerd. In any case, there we go, down they go. And yeah, head on through this way now. fight our way through some Inquest Grenadiers now. Again, have I talked about before how I like the way that ArenaNet tells stories through the different enemies you encounter? So before you had Dredge, obviously, manipulated Dredge, who were manipulated by these Inquests. Now that we've fought our way through the Dredge part of the dungeon, we have now come to the Inquest part of the dungeon. And I'd say that the very last part is the Golem part of this dungeon, where we fight the strongest defense mechanisms of the Inquest to the central chamber of Sorrow's Embrace, which we will reach in just a moment. We should locate Zodja as quickly as possible. No one says anything new, do they? I knew Kudu was behind me. We must pursue him. What did Kudu do? Kudu was Snaf's apprentice before me. He stole Snaf's discoveries and is using them for the Inquest. Interesting. Didn't he say something about dragon energy? Hey, now we're getting into interesting stuff. Snaf discovered that the dragons have their own unique forms of power. Kudu wants to harness those energies. We'd better stop him then. Let's go. Yeah, and now we come to the second to last boss of this dungeon, which actually turns out to be a pretty difficult one as well. But after a while, we did manage to get it down in this very cool little bit here above the lava. Pretty cool platform. I would imagine maybe like an old dwarf structure reused by the Dredge and now by the Inquest. It's very cool architecture. The Champion Sentry Golem Mark S4. Don't really understand the naming of these different golems. Sentry golems appear to be stronger perhaps than normal Mark something golems. I have no idea though. But in any case, down it goes like all the other ones. Now our mission is simply to find Kudu. Stop Kudu's nefarious plan. Yes indeed. Through this last little bit of tunnel we go. Kill a cave spider on our way because we are sadistic assholes. We get a cutscene.
That's enough violence for now.
And check this one out. Do you remember the Iron Forgeman we were talking about? The essentially dwarf construct that the old Stone Summit dwarves forced the Dredge to build. This is it. It is not finished, as you can see. It doesn't have any legs yet. But it is, yeah, pretty scary nonetheless. And this hall is just great with all these huge cauldrons everywhere.
Do you like my latest? It's better than anything our Master Snaf ever did. I have harnessed dragon energies to power it.
You've perverted Snaf's theories, and you will be punished for this.
I may be punished, but not by you. I have places to go and people to kill, but I leave my creation here to keep you company. Ta!
I love how British he is. Ta! Okay, so alive it comes. Really, really cool minion. I think this is, wasn't this another thing from one of the trailers for Guild Wars 2 when it first came out? Yeah. Check this out. Alright, so quickly about the tactics for this boss. It basically just has two attacks. One is that beam that kills you very quickly if you stand in it. The other one is this, he pulls the chain, which then lowers these cauldrons of lava, which spawns flame jellies. Sounds pretty cute, don't they? You kill off the flame jellies on the platforms, which then spawns a boulder, just a piece of rock, which you can use in order to throw on the Iron Forgeman, which will damage it for 14,000 damage. So that's easily the best way to get it down. And that's it, pretty much. It's a fairly easy fight once you know these two different mechanics. Alright, I knew Kudu was behind this. Yes, that's the same dialogue. Needless to say, it's pretty important not to jump into the lava. That will kill you. This game is very realistic in that way. But yes. Alright, so this huge dwarf/dredge contract is now powered up by dragon magic, apparently. So the Inquest thing is that they want to harness dragon magic in order to, get world domination, I think, is the ultimate goal of the Inquest, right? I don't think there's anything else really. But it is pretty interesting, I think, that we are perhaps dependent on the Inquest technology and the Inquest knowledge about the Elder Dragons and the dragon magic in order to fight them ourselves. Which on its own is a sort of discussion about animal cruelty and stuff like that. Am I going on a bit too much of a tangent? Perhaps I am. But you know, like, is it right or wrong to test different medicines and stuff on animals before we can use them on humans. That's basically what the Inquest are doing, right? They're experimenting with dragon magic in order to learn more about the dragons, and in doing so they basically torture and kill lots of innocent creatures. So I suppose I've talked about, this is pretty cool by the way, you can see the cauldrons there with the lava, but I've talked about how the Nightmare Court of the Sylvari are sort of grey area-ish enemies, but they are not 100% evil and nothing else. You can sort of see their point of view in that they don't want to follow blindly the teachings of Vantari and the Pale Tree, but rather they want to go their own way. Sort of similar, you can take the Inquest, that they really just want to, you know, advance their type of science as much as possible, and they have nothing moral stopping them from doing just that, achieving their goals as quickly and efficiently as possible. So, I mean, obviously the Inquest and the Nightmare Court are not nice factions at all, but I like them more than, say, I don't know, the Orcs in Lord of the Rings or something, which is just evil with a capital E, right, straight up and down. But yeah, one more bolter I think should do it. Does Subtlenose get to do the honors? Maybe not. I think he's going to get killed before that. It's very damaged, and down it goes. And check out this death animation. Yeah. Ta-da-da-da. And obviously, I think most of you have seen this already, right? But with a thumbs up there in the end, referencing Terminator 2. It's doing an Arnold Schwarzenegger there in Terminator 2. That's pretty good.
I can't believe Kudu fused the energy of a draconic minion into the shell of an ancient dredge creation.
What did you mean when you said he perverted Snaff's ideas?
Snaff discovered that the Elder Dragons radiated their own unique energy, but he felt that this draconic energy was too unstable to work with.
Kudu and the Inquest seem to disagree with that assessment.
Kudu was Snaff's apprentice before me. I don't doubt he will continue these experiments.
We should get Air and the others. Get their help.
They're useless, but go after her if you must. I am going to move forward and defeat Kudu once and for all.
Yeah, so that's hinting to the next dungeon. Not the next dungeon, but a coming dungeon. That Zoja wants to find Kudu, because Kudu escaped, right? We didn't kill Fowlin, and we didn't kill Kudu. So the two main villains of these two last dungeons are still about. But yeah, and very sadly, I have to say that both Zoja and Kaith don't have any other conversation options. But yeah, there we go. Awesome stuff. That's Sorrow's Embrace. That's all done. We've leveled up again, so we're level 70 now. So now you've seen all the different levels that Subtlenose have gone through. At least there's that. Level 70 rewards, Dungeon Story, Citadel of Flame. Hey, we're getting closer and closer to level 80. Congratulations, you have defeated Kudu's Iron Forgeman. Yeah. Alright, so next time, everyone, we are going to explore Ratasum. We're actually going to do a lore tour of Ratasum in the next video, which will hopefully be out in a couple of days. I can't say for sure, because those videos do take quite a long while to make. But yes, I really hope you enjoyed this one. Stick around for the next story dungeon, which will be the Citadel of Flame, in which we'll learn more about Ritlock's and Logan's bromance. It's good stuff. Anyway, until then, I hope you have a lovely time, people. Thank you so much for watching. And yeah, toodaloo. Bye-bye.